4 days on rednote has me going through all the stages of grief. And right now, I think I'm sitting firmly in anger. And not at the Chinese or anything like that. Their cities are amazing. Their people are amazing. Their lifestyle is amazing. And dude, American exceptionalism is a lie. It's a fucking lie. This country, every day of our lives, is just one big goddamn commercial. And we've been told our whole lives that these are evil people that can hate us, and they're backwards, and they're slaves working in sweatshops and living in gulags, and you would hate it over there. Don't even bother going over there. And, you know, honestly, to a lot of us Americans, we're ignorant to the point we've bought the fucking propaganda that was being sold to us our whole lives. I know hardly anyone that's ever even expressed interest in going to China with their rare vacation time and dollars. And then, all at once, tens of millions of us go over to this app as a lark, just to goof off. And we all got slapped in the face with dude, these skyscrapers in these cities, they're beautiful, they're clean. It looks like the goddamn future. I'm telling you, man, these people are living in the year 2325. I'm not even sure we're a first world country anymore. If you compare apples to apples, I mean, this place is amazing. No, I'm not, look, but America's the best thing in the world. You're anti-patriotic. You must hate America. Stating what it is, I've seen with my own eyes on a different platform that we're just not living, not like the way other places in the world.
The funniest part is American citizens wouldn't even be talking to Chinese citizens if the U.S. government didn't try to ban TikTok because they claimed TikTok was going to push Chinese communist propaganda, right? And then a bunch of Americans went and joined an app specifically designed for Chinese citizens that was cleared by the Communist Party of China. And then suddenly we have cross-cultural exchange between American citizens and Chinese citizens. American citizens start to realize that Chinese people are people. That honestly, it feels good that some of y'all, I know you don't travel, but you're like, oh my God, look, they have groceries like us. That blew my mind. A lot of y'all were like, they have houses like that. It feels weird. I don't know what you thought they were doing in China. Feels weird. But the opposite side of that is the fact that the Chinese thought a lot of true things about us were actually communist propaganda from China. They thought their government was lying on us. Like, I've seen the comment sections where people would be like, yo, our government, the Chinese government said that y'all Americans have to pay for your own ambulances. Like, that's crazy. That's like a lie. They're like talking on capitalism, and legit Americans have to be like, no, for real, we have to pay for our own ambulances. Like, ambulances aren't free. And they're like, yo, what? Okay, but like that bullshit about your kids possibly needing like a bulletproof backpack, like that's crazy. And we're like, oh.
American people are in shock that there's a different world out there than what they have been fed. Not even actually about what they know, but what they have been fed. A lot of American people are getting out of that bubble of, actually, the entire world is not what's in America. A lot of people are finding out on rednote that there is a different world out there that is never shown, that is always like talked on like badly, because the leaders in America, they will make it look like Chinese people are not like on a high standard, or like Asian countries, or like people in general outside of America are not having a good life, or they have nothing going on. Ever since American people started going on rednote, they are realizing that there is more to life than being an American and being fed certain information in America.
Raise the question of rednote. Well, guess what? If TikTok users flood to rednote, they're going to face the same challenge there.
Oh, so we live in the communist place. My bad, I thought this was a free country. Now pause. I get it. I understand that rednote actually does the things that you complained about TikTok being able to do. But we told y'all not to mess with TikTok, and you still did anyways. Either way, looks like you all are trying to prevent us from seeing what the world's really like, and that sounds a lot like North Korea. What's next? Completely stopping anyone going in and out of the country? I'm lost, guys.
American people have been on Xiaohongshu for 2 days, and I literally just stumbled across a live with Chinese people explaining to American people why communist countries are better because they don't privatize necessities for life. Necessities such as food, healthcare, water, housing. Not only do they dress better than us, they are fed, they have homes, they have healthcare. In America, we have Sean King. In China, they have Chongqing, a city that is over 4 times the size of New York, and they've managed to nearly eradicate homelessness. I'm not even joking when I say this. If you guys are afraid of China, crowdfund me a trip there and I will literally go and see how it is for myself.
I don't know how your social media tells about China, but if you still think of China as this, you are completely wrong. Let me show you the real China. Shanghai. Beijing. Guangxi. Nanjing. Chengdu. Shenzhen. Xinjiang. These are not AIs. Welcome to China.
And I work 3 jobs just to maintain ownership of the crappy house that I'm in.
So the rednote experience has a lot of Americans reeling at how inexpensive life is in China and how many of the people that they're speaking to own their own homes as opposed to renting and can pay incredibly small amounts of money for groceries. And Americans are beginning to wake up and realize that maybe they have been propagandized too, that they're in the best system. And I mean, a lot of the left-leaning ones already knew, but a lot of people have been ignoring it and sort of burying their head in the sand in a way that's very unhelpful to them and their families. But do you know what's the more interesting thing that I didn't actually anticipate? I knew Americans would suddenly be realizing that Chinese people have it much better than the American government would like to tell them. But a lot of Chinese people who are speaking to Americans on rednote are realizing that the propaganda they've been receiving from the Chinese government is true. America has fallen behind in so many ways. America does have most of its people working 2-3 jobs to survive, or, you know, paying extremely high amounts of money in student debt, and all these other things that are just not really a big thing in China because everything is so cheap there. Because the communists aren't trying to make a profit off of people, so they make things cheap. And I'm not saying China is communist right now, but they are run by a communist party, and it does seem like it's delivering for its people the things communists tend to deliver. Inexpensive food, inexpensive housing, inexpensive education, inexpensive healthcare. All of these things are things Chinese people can access, and Americans, they've taken for granted that the rest of the world could be better than them. But basically, I think a lot of Chinese people right now are realizing that all these fantastical things that their government has been telling them about how America has fallen behind are true. All of these fantastical things about how the American dream has been a lie all along and it's just been about enriching rich people, yeah, that's all true. It turns out that Chinese propaganda is just is to a much larger extent than American propaganda. Let's make it a comparison. To a larger extent than American propaganda, it has been about actually assessing the world and actually assessing their situation and whether it is improving and how to improve it. It turns out that their propaganda is mostly just the government passing on mostly true information to their people, whereas the Americans keep their people so distracted that they are actually unable to see obvious truths about the world that they would find after, like, a short internet search, even with how biased Google is against, like, leftists in other countries. They do not want they don't want articles from those people showing up first. They want articles about those people from the right-wing media, from the liberal economic right-wing media, you know, where they pretend to be liberal on social issues, but they are very right-wing on actual economic issues where it'll materially affect people's lives. Anyways, have an excellent day, and it's crazy how the propaganda is falling left, right, and center. It is falling everywhere. Like, people are beginning to realize what's true and what's not in a way that I've never seen before, which is just, it's heartening. It makes me a little bit more optimistic.
As a member of the rest of the world, I'm so happy that Americans are finally experiencing this because they need this paradigm shift. They should know that you can get decent groceries for $20 in China. They should know that a doctor's appointment and diagnosis costs 20 cents in Malaysia. And they should know that Indonesia looks like this. And that this is the standard of living that we're used to. The problem is sometimes even the government falls for their own propaganda. And what I mean by this is that because they paint the rest of the world as third world countries and therefore inferior to them, they act like that when they're dealing with us sometimes. And this is why they're shocked when the Malaysian government would tell their government that you don't tell us who we should be friends with. Or when Indonesia would just flat out ban the new iPhone because Apple didn't want to play by domestic rules. And the thing is, when we actually build communities, people, individuals will actually realize that we don't hate each other. We're just pitted against each other. Just like what's happening in rednote, when we build genuine communities and interactions, we just realize that we have so much more in common than we think, and we like and dislike the exact same things.
Did you know in China, when a baby is born, they give them a box full of supplies, everything that they need for the baby, diapers, clothing, and this box doubles as a crib. But in the US, when a baby's born, they charge you to hold your newborn. It's called skin to skin, something like that on the bill. But yeah, I just found that out.
I can't believe it. I'm watching videos of Americans finally realizing they've been heavily brainwashed by their own government saying that China is bad after being on rednote for just a couple of days. Now, I've already seen some content from there that's been shared on this platform, and I gotta tell you, they're pretty spot on. I mean, they have developed a lot in the past 40 years. Just Western propaganda just makes them sound evil. But if you were to ask any genuine Chinese person about how their country is, they'll tell you honestly. And yet, the US are dumb enough to believe what their government tells them.
You will not believe it. Now, I've been really following this situation with the TikTok ban, and I've gone over to rednote to see what's going on and back and forth because I'm trying to see what's going on. So I have seen quite a few videos because apparently over 100 million Americans have shifted over to rednote. And here's the thing about propaganda, because like Americans believe that America is the best place on earth, and now they've gone over to rednote and they're just seeing like regular Chinese people posting videos about shopping, grocery shopping. And I've just seen videos of quite a few Americans talking about just how shocked they are at Chinese people being able to afford food, especially vegetables and stuff, because apparently people in America cannot afford food. And this is one thing that shocked me greatly when I was in America, that I wanted to buy like a wholemeal loaf, and that was nearly $10 for a wholemeal loaf of bread. Like 5 apples were like $10. And so all these Americans are just watching all these grocery shopping videos of Chinese people just going about their own food shopping business. And they're so shocked that there are countries like China where people can actually afford food. I'll say that again. I've seen videos of Americans who moved over to rednote expressing their shock that there are countries where people can afford food. Think about it. The earth has shifted for Americans.
Right now on my For You page, I'm seeing a lot of people talk about the difference in prices when it comes to living in China versus living in the US, such as housing and food, transportation, the ease of things that are over there versus over here. And I want to say that I lived a pretty comfortable life over there before I had my kid. Again, I lived in China for 4 years. I was initially there for my PhD. Then I turned into an English teacher. I had my daughter there as well. So my medical footprint there was also very, very low. It was very inexpensive and I was treated very well. If you want a story on how my pregnancy and my birth over there was, let me know down below and I'll be happy to give that to you. So when I was there, scholarship was about 3,500 kwai. And the scholarship also had an additional 2,000 kwai or renminbi on there as well if I lived off campus. So a total of 5,500 renminbi per month was for my scholarship funding. 2,000 was to help with housing opportunities if I moved off campus, and that was based off of my type of scholarship that I was on. And 3,500 was the living scholarship that they gave you to help you with textbooks, for food, if you needed to go shopping. So that 5,500 was about 750 USD, because at that time it was 7 kwai to every $1. I rented, my first apartment that I rented from off campus was a 3-bedroom, and I rented it with my friend that was from Bangladesh, and I rented it with a Chinese friend. So my bedroom was 900 kwai, so it was only like $100. The second apartment that I moved to was a 2-bedroom apartment for 1,800, and the last one that I moved to was also a 2-bedroom apartment for 1,900 renminbi, or about $260 USD. Now, when I was renting out an apartment, even though that sounds fine with $250, $260 USD per month, I worked through an agent, a realtor agent that worked with foreigners specifically. And so what would happen was that we would pay our initial rent, and it was every 3 months that we paid. And for some apartments, depending on your income, and if you're a foreigner, you would have to pay up to 6 months in advance before you can move in. So I would pay every 3 months to my agent, and my agent would pay the landlord or the laoban each month. I have talked previously before about WeChat, Weixin. Weixin is an app that's very similar to WhatsApp, but better. Much better. It has it doesn't scroll like TikTok, but they do have an option where you can do videos like that, the little shorts. But it basically has a whole bunch of apps in there. It has your Taobao, it has your Alibaba, your Zhifubao, has your Didi. So these are like eating services, shopping services, payment services, bank access. You can get a delivery done within the same day. I truly believe if WhatsApp wanted to be a lot better, that they should take some initiative from Weixin and see what things from it that they can add to it. The only problem is if you upgrade WeChat, then you are going to have more space on your phone. So the concept of being able to live much better in China compared to America is because of the change in the USD to the renminbi and how much more affordable in that sense compared to coming from a very expensive place. I was able to buy fresh fruits and vegetables every single day while I was in China. I was able to just leave my house, and in the evening we would have all these shop carts on the street with fruits and food and vegetables that you can go buy. And if you wanted to try a little bit, depending on the laoban, you were allowed to just try a small sample and then make a purchase. I made my own little community there. So in the evening, the ayi's or the older women would come out and they would do a traditional Chinese dance, or they would just do exercise out there. You would see the elderly walking around with their grandkids. You would see moms out there with their kids as well during the evening. Basically, the whole community would come alive at that time. And they would always look out for me and my daughter while we were out there. They were always so friendly, and that's how I was able to learn Chinese. I completely immersed myself inside the community because I wanted to know what was going on around me. I wanted to know who was talking about me. I wanted to be able to bargain with money. I wanted to be able to get somewhere. I wanted to be able to do everything on my own. Me being able to read Chinese was a bit more difficult, but there were a few key characters that I always remembered when it came to what I was looking for. For example, if I was trying to order something in a restaurant, I knew a few key words like rice, I knew noodles, I knew what soup looked like, I knew what spicy was, I knew what the different types of meat symbols were if they didn't have pictures there. I learned so much from my fellow colleagues as well when I was doing my education there. They were so kind and opening. Again, Chinese hospitality reminds me very much of Southern and Caribbean, very deep Southern and Caribbean hospitality on steroids as well.
American people feel lied to. Like when they go to rednote and then they survey, they see what's happening there. They are finding out there are cars that are not in America that they have never seen before. They are realizing there are phones and technology in China that they have never seen before. They are realizing there's a certain lifestyle because Asian people are literally sharing on rednote how they live their lives, cost of living, and they are questioning American people. So you are having a government that literally does not give you good healthcare. You are literally there and you have these CEOs of insurance companies that are stealing money from you and they are not delivering when you have a problem. Wait, so your schools are different? Wait, what? A lot of American people are having revelations that are shocking. Actually, also for me, they are shocking because I was like, a lot is happening in China than there is for the eye to see in the world. I think also majority of the time, not even majority of the times, in general, the entire world feeds off American media. So you barely see Chinese content pushed out in the world. I feel like maybe this is why they want to ban TikTok because a lot of people are opening their eyes. And I saw they are saying that rednote is about to also be banned because it looks like the more American people move away from the American narrative or from what they are used to in America and try out different countries or different apps from different countries, is the more they realize that their governance for years and years has been bad.